My name is Tanner Elton. I'm the U.S. Vice President of Advertising Sales at Amazon. And this is the 500th episode of the CPG Guys.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the CPG Guys podcast. We're recording this episode in France at the 2025 Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity. I'm your co-host PBSB. When I'm not podcasting, I serve as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerator division of Omnicom. I am appropriately joined today by my co-founder of the CPG Guys media platform. He's the chief revenue officer at Think Blue Consulting, Papa Raj to the Raj family media empire. He is also the former chief customer officer at General Mills. Of course, I am talking about the man known as Shri. Shri, here we are. Can you believe it? 5 years later, 500 episodes.
What's harder to believe is this is a full-time job. I still remember back in Chicago, it was 2018.
2018.
Made a call over to you, said I'm staying at the Marriott on
JW.
Drive,
Yeah.
on JW.
Yeah.
And like, hey, head over, let's have a chat about doing some content. Came over, we had grandiose plans that got nixed because of our respective jobs that we had.
Yep.
And then when I got to General Mills, we had already started this podcast in early COVID to kind of kill time. The fact that it's actually a media platform now, where we have brands, retailers, and all kinds of service providers, and we're actually at episode 500, it's a big moment.
It is. I think in the postlude to today's episode, we'll talk a little bit more about that, the journey we've been on. But right now, let's get to our very special guest for this monumental episode. We've been looking forward for quite some time to get him on the podcast. He's not someone you see very often other than at Amazon's upfront event, typically riding a bicycle. We actually brought a bicycle. We have it in the back room here, and we're going to ask you to do a little circuit around the apartment. But I thought that would be pretty good. His tenure at Amazon has exceeded 13 years, holding numerous roles in advertising sales. Shri and I are incredibly pleased to welcome him for his first and hopefully not last appearance on the CPG Guys, the Vice President of U.S. Advertising Sales at Amazon, Tanner Elton. Tanner, welcome.
Does he know about the Letterman jacket thing?
Oh, if you come on 5 times, you get a varsity
You get a
wool and
five-timer
leather.
jacket.
Three have
You
earned
get
it
5
so
times.
far.
It's like the smoking jacket.
I love it.
But we upgraded. We're like, none of that cheap smoking jacket. It's like a legitimate varsity leather arm wool jacket.
Love it. It's
So,
amazing that
welcome.
this is the first time we've been on, because I think, Shri, you started talking to me about coming on at episode, 300?
Yeah.
But 300 wasn't good enough.
No.
400,
Had to make us wait.
500. That's what we're going
Milestone
for.
marker, baby.
I love it.
And I'll tell you, there were a lot of inquiries from other people like, can we be 500? Can we be? They were throwing stuff at us. I'm like, no, we want Tanner, we want Amazon. We're holding that spot, so we're
I
so
appreciate
grateful.
that.
And we had to rough up your PR person Eric a little bit just till he finally said, okay, you can have
That's
Tanner.
right. So he's a little bit of a loose cannon, so I gotta be
I know.
There we go. Not today, though. Not to worry.
Yeah.
Listen, Tanner, before we get to the question Shri and I have prepared for our conversation, you want to share with our audience a brief overview of your responsibilities at Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely. So I oversee the advertising sales organization in the U.S. for Amazon ads. That encompasses what we call large customer sales, all of our selling teams that work with the top largest brands in the country, as well as a mid-market team, primarily focused on those advertisers who do not sell product on Amazon. Additionally, I oversee the account management organization and our agency business, which has been a lot of fun. But yeah,
That's great. All right. To our audience, in the digital liner notes of this episode, you will find links to Tanner's LinkedIn profile, the Amazon Ad Partners LinkedIn page, and the website as well, so that you can multitask as you are all want to do while you listen to the melodious tones of our conversation. So let's get to the questions we've prepared. I'll open it up, and Shri and I will interchange. But reflecting on your career journey over the last 13 plus years at Amazon, would love to understand the experiences you think have been most pivotal in changing how you lead the organization, U.S. advertising sales. What have been some pivotal components of your experience?
I started in entertainment within Amazon, which is very unconventional, because when people think about Amazon, you think about the stuff you buy, right? And at the time that I started, it wasn't obvious that Amazon could be a great partner for the entertainment industry, period. So what was really interesting during that time was trying to figure out why Amazon mattered to big major movie studios, how we could help.
Okay.
And so going through the process of looking at all the different components that Amazon had, the customer journeys that were happening, and then building out strategy that tied into that was kind of transformative, because there was something that was intuitively not obvious in terms of how we could be working with brands. And then you start to say, oh, wait a second. Amazon has IMDb. It was actually one of our first acquisitions.
Of course, I use that almost daily, strangely.
Yeah. Shout out to Carl Needham, our CEO and founder, or actually former CEO and founder, but he's still at the company, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And we say the first time a movie, television series even gets mentioned, where does it go?
Because you go right to IMDb. If you want to, you see something like, I want to know who that actor is.
Yeah.
I go in and like,
And then throughout that entire journey, when a film goes into theaters and then it's out, and you want to buy at the time a DVD, where could you find a DVD without the limitations of shelf space?
Yes.
It's on Amazon. So you start connecting all of those dots and figuring out how we could build out programs and strategies for these studios. That was a transformative moment for me, because it really helped us realize the art of possible, even when something isn't obvious. So that was kind of one of the first journeys. And then outside of that, I'd say just every step along the way, the innovations, the creative thinking, never believing that we were limited at Amazon has been a huge boost for how we've been able to show up and deliver for brands.
Okay.
You know, one of the first things that comes to our mind when we think about Amazon is innovation. That it's in your lifeblood at this point. It's part of Amazon's DNA. We see it every day, if not every week, and routinely through the course of the year. So what role does innovation play in your leadership? And how do you, as a leader of the organization, foster a culture that encourages innovative thinking within your teams?
Yeah, this is something we think about constantly. One of my favorite things about Amazon is our leadership principles. And the reason I love our leadership principles is because it becomes a kind of system of governance. It's how we think about challenges and possible solutions, and it keeps us very focused on solving challenges for our customers. So for me as a leader, one of the things that I focus on, other than instilling and teaching and referencing our leadership principles daily, it's how are we building a culture where all of those talents of our individuals that can drive innovation are amplified. So I'll give you a few kind of key things that make for stand out. First of all is, I actually did this whole thing for my team a while ago, which I call the 6 C's of a successful culture. First one would be community. What are we doing every single day? So when people walk in the door of our offices, when they get on our chime calls, they feel like they are part of that community. Because when you do that, you're more open to collaborate.
You want to participate.
You want to participate, right? It's like, do you guys remember the Cheers back in the day? You want to go. Sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name. Yeah. So that whole attitude of we're in the door, we're part of this team, it leads to greater collaboration. And we collaborate together. That's when creativity, innovation really starts to come out. I love, so if you guys had to think really quick, because you guys have been seasoned, we just talked about IMDb, great movies about community. What kind of comes to mind?
Oh my God.
First time the CPG guys have been flummoxed by somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I always go to, I always go to my favorite movies, but they tend to not be about community.
Okay.
But I am flummoxed. I
You
don't
tell
know what to
us.
say.
I'll tell you the one I love. It's
Yeah.
the Goonies.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Bunch of kids coming together to save their community, right?
I would say Stand By Me.
Stand By Me, another great one, right?
Great one, yeah.
But there's something that we can all relate to about like how do we become part of those communities? And then again, when we're collaborating, we're sharing great ideas, it leads to greater creativity, which is important. I'll say one of my favorite quotes, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. This was from Steve Jobs back in the day, where he said, it's really hard to design products by focus groups. People don't know.
Very true.
People don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about innovation, it's what are we going to show people? So having that environment is really what's going to help drive.
It's interesting you say that, Tanner, because that's the culture you guys have excelled at.
Yeah.
But, in my other hat that I wear, I advise a lot of startups. They really want to do focus groups. And I'm like, no. But it's good you're saying that, so now we can get the message out.
It's funny. I read back about 2018, a couple of professors, one at MIT, one at Northwestern, had a hypothesis. They said almost everything you can get out of focus groups, you can probably get by just reading reviews on Amazon.com. And they went about testing this on 6 categories. And they said that 97% of the themes you could get from a focus group, you could get by and large language models now allow you to get that. Instantly. It's like you do it instantaneously as how long and how expensive are focus groups. It's all right there.
Yeah, you have the information.
Amazing.
But Sri, to what you were just talking about, that whole idea of this focus group is going to help us innovate. And I was like, no, you need the team that's going to help you innovate. And then the reviews and the response rate kind of really validates those efforts.
You gave us 1 C. You said you had 6.
So the first one is community, which leads to collaboration.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Great collaboration movie for me, Ocean's 11.
Yep, perfect.
Who doesn't want to be part of a heist, right? Coming all those, every moving part coming in seamlessly. Then it's creativity, right? After creativity, we think about why are we creative? And this is one of my favorite leadership principles, Amy says, for the customer. So when you stay focused on why are you doing the things that you do, it's like because we're doing them to solve challenges for our customer. And if we do that and we stay rooted firmly on that, we're going to get to a good endpoint. Now, when we do that, here's the other part that comes up a lot. Whenever you try to do something big, it's always going to take multiple teams, probably outside of your sphere, to be able to get that stuff done. And aside from the collaboration and working together, it's credibility, which is one of the next C's, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be able to show up, do what you say you're going to do, have the trust of the teams that you work with, like this is how we're going to deliver. And then the last C, this is the 6th C on this. At first, I'll tell you it was celebrate, right? We want to celebrate the wins. But then I thought, well, celebration is a reaction. You've done something well, so now I'm going to celebrate it. And we want it to be more of a behavior, so it became cheer. We want to cheer for each other.
Okay.
So do the CPG guys deserve a cheer for?
We're a C. We're right in
By the
the
way,
C.
500 episodes, I absolutely think this is
We get a cheer, man. How
the
about
amount of
little golf
people
clap.
cheering for you guys is pretty phenomenal at this point.
celebrate and cheer? I'll remember that one.
And the CPG guy starts with C, so we could be the 7th.
The 7th.
All right. Little known fact, Shri actually thinks the hero of Ocean 11 is the Andy Garcia character. Very
Interesting.
Strange. I don't know what that says.
So I thought we multiplied this 5 oceans to 7.
5?
11.
11.
We added 6.
Oh, sorry.
That's
yeah,
right.
that's right. There we go. Anyhow, so I'd love to hear from you about the consumer behavior trends that you think are most influencing advertising strategies in today's industry.
I think I'd start by saying, and this is something that really instilled in the DNA of Amazon as a company, where Jeff Bezos from the beginning, I can't remember what interview it was, but he was asked, predict the future. What's the future going to bring us? It's really hard to predict the future. So what I try to do is say, what's going to be true that's true today in the future? And it was customers are going to want the greatest selection at the best price as conveniently as possible.
Yeah.
That really hasn't changed. What we are seeing, though, is this shift to simplicity.
Yes.
How can you make it easier? How can you make all these
friction-free?
Absolutely. And I would say one of the biggest challenges facing our industry, especially from an advertising marketing standpoint, is fragmentation. Right? Everyone has all these different behaviors. They're all over the place. There's common threads throughout all of them, but how do we make it simple to engage, to provide that selection, to make it easy to transact and easy to understand? So when we talk about those consumer behaviors, if you're providing exceptional customer service, if you're providing all of those things, then the question becomes for brands and marketers, how do we make it easy? Yeah. So a huge focus of Amazon, really since I started, but we're seeing great strides right now, is on that simplification. How do we make it easier to engage, easier to interact, easier to inform, and then ultimately easier to transact?
And then I have to imagine that by making available to your vendors access to Amazon Marketing Cloud and the incredible behavioral signals to create audiences and do exactly that is something that you help them really understand who their shoppers are and make it simple for them to figure out how they want to talk to them.
Yeah, and going even a step further and saying it's like who they are and why it's important. And in fact, part of that effort, this is something that we announced this week at CAN, which we're really excited about, is our partnership with Roku.
Yeah, big one.
Very big, right? We talk about understanding who our customers are. This is, when you think about how important the CTV universe is, you've got Roku OS, you have Fire TV. Well, now, for the first time in our partnership with Roku, we're doing authenticated, logged in customer data matching, where we're going to be able to come in and say, we know who these customers are everywhere. And our ability to provide exceptional insights, exceptional relevancy because of that is going to be a game changer for us.
I have to imagine that is greatly expanded the combined audience reach of these two entities, like something.
Significantly. Yeah. I'll give you the actual, Andrew should give you the actual stats. So that's over 80 million households now.
That's a lot.
Congratulations.
And that represents roughly about over 80 million. Yeah, 80 million, and that's over 80% of the CTV universe now.
That is phenomenal.
So for brands and advertisers say, we want precision, we want relevancy, we can give that to them at a scale that's never been had before.
That is a big deal. So the future came up, so I have to ask you a future question.
Yeah, I love it.
But I'm not going to ask you to predict, I'm going to ask you to envision.
Okay.
So how do you envision the future of advertising sales evolving over the next few years, particularly the rise of streaming services and e-commerce integration? With my naive mind, having come from a brand background in CPG, Amazon is one of the only successful publishers who operates retail, who's become national media at this point.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine the Roku one is a massive adrenaline boost in that national media endeavor. But more importantly, tell us what's going on the next few years. What does this mean for you, for Amazon, with the rise of streaming services, and as well as the fact that the consumer is nearly 100% digital at this point, e-commerce?
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying, having worked closely with you during your time there, you are an innovator and you have been looking at the future. And
Hallelujah.
you were ahead of the curve for a lot of
Please don't
stuff.
feed his ego. I have enough of a problem with it.
I will take credit.
I started thinking right now, I was just thinking, oh great, now I'm going to have to edit that out.
Now I will take credit. First one to invest, sports with Amazon from a CPG standpoint.
You saw the vision.
And now what a phenomenon that's become.
I remember, Shri, you and I were sitting at the Eagles game against Minnesota. Yep. And the first commercial break came in, and we were watching.
We were watching it live on the phone. On the smartphone.
Yeah. Yep. And that was the tap to buy. We were both buying Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yep. Wow. The actual ad. I mean, that's like in real life, right? Like, it's so awesome. But tell us, man, how do you envision this going? There can't be a bigger move. So.
Now, when you combine the most premium content out there, and I'd say what we're doing with Thursday Night Football, what we're doing with Prime Video now with those incredible shows, and all of the different touch points where consumers want to go deeper into, whether that's podcasting, whether that's the books that they're reading, whether that's communities where they want to talk about it in places like Twitch, being able to seamlessly connect all those consumer behaviors and bring it back into the transactions. Now we're making it easier for you to discover, easier for you to learn more, and now easier to transact. That is the future of that consumer behavior and how we are enabling brands to really take advantage of having more meaningful conversations with those consumers as well.
So I'm envisioning friction-free browsing, hunting, experiencing, and then checkout all the way to delivery.
Yeah, 100%. And from a content standpoint, when we're talking about IMDb, like we go there and we say, well, who was this and Well, now from that standpoint, I'll use The Summer I Turned Pretty, which has been a phenomenal show for us, right?
Love it. Got hooked on it. Immediately binge watched the whole thing in one day.
Yeah, that's impressive.
One day.
Who's it going to be, Pete?
I totally watched the first.
deserve a cheer.
I just watched the first episode.
You deserve a cheer, man.
And I I'm just going to binge it.
I mean, we can all relate, right?
There you go. I remember. You remember The Summer You Turned Pretty, Shri?
There we go.
It was good.
Yeah, what year was that?
I'm still pretty. I'm still pretty.
in the dark ages.
Maybe not you guys, but me, yes.
Yes.
Last millennium.
Yeah, that's right. What's amazing about that, though, is it's a best-selling book.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this incredible show. And people are talking about it on Pocket. And then the merchandising around the show, it's there. So now we have it. So on Amazon, it's Shop the Show, where you can watch the show and see the products in real time. You see the IMDb, who's what and where and what else have they done. So that experience becomes all-encompassing. So the content you're watching, the way that you can consume the brands associated with it, really, to me, that's going to be the future of how we engage with content and how brands can really take advantage of it as well.
Yep. Let me remind our audience that today we're speaking with Tanner Elton. He is the Vice President of U.S. Advertising Sales at a little niche retailer called Amazon.
Yeah.
All right. In your role in advertising, you obviously deal with quite a number of vendors and sellers that are looking to leverage the marketplace you've created to sell their products. How has your relationships with the big major brands, the enterprise brands, evolved during your time at Amazon? Where have you gotten to in terms of your relationships with them, and how did you get there?
Depending on the brand and the industry, it can vary.
Yeah.
So when we're talking to CPG companies, that's very specific in terms of the challenges, the opportunities, the needs that they have. We're talking to entertainment companies, a little bit different, travel companies, et cetera. What I will say is,
those would be typically there'd be some non-endemic.
Yeah, not sold on Amazon.
Right, exactly. Okay.
And even I can talk a little bit about that, how that's evolved, where it's very easy for no pun intended, for brands to think about Amazon and put us in a box.
Sure.
We know who you are.
A brown box with a blue tape
with a
on it.
Beautiful smile.
Yeah, the beautiful smile.
Everyone gets excited when it shows up on your doorstep.
Who doesn't?
Right? And I totally get that. But the reality is we're not in a box. Or if we are, it's a very, very large box.
Very big box.
And so the evolution of how brands have been engaging with us and working with us has gone to, well, I sell my product, can you help me sell more of it? To, well, how do I engage with these customers to drive action activity off of Amazon? How do I engage to make my brand more relevant everywhere? How can I do this and think about all the sales that that are meaningful, not just what's happening on Amazon? And that's where the conversations have really changed. The other thing I would say is part of that, we talked a little bit earlier about that spirit of innovation and how we evolve. The amount of conversations that we're now having with major brands, major partners on innovation. How do we build together? What's next? Like that, those are conversations this week at Cannes. Every meeting, we're talking about that. So the evolution of those relationships, how we think about, again, the art of the possible, that's where the focus has really turned to, which has been super exciting.
And you're offering them, through your mechanism, some really powerful performance marketing measurement. That's why it's great for big brands and small brands to come to Amazon to innovate.
Yeah.
Because you give them the performance measurement that they crave to understand, is this actually working?
Yeah, and I would say what they're building with us is leading to more innovation and more understanding.
Sure.
You know, for us, when you think about all that incredible content, the underpinning technology that's being built to service that, to simplify it, Amazon DSP, et cetera, that's really where we're seeing a lot of like leaps and bounds and huge strides forward that we're just thrilled about.
By the way, I should make mention of the fact at my house, when my Echo device sends the ping, my daughter runs over and asks Alexa to play the notification. When she hears that it's a box, she starts screaming, "Daddy, there's a new package. We have to go outside right now.
I love that.
And so we don't know where it's going to be, the side door, front door, whatever, but it's a big adventure for us. So we love the big boxes arriving.
Isn't that amazing?
I miss this with my 25-year-old and 20-year-old.
They're like, Dad,
they don't
Dad, go get
boxes
Dad,
anymore.
just go get my package.
I celebrate boxes.
They outsource
They
to
don't.
you.
Yeah.
My wife and I still do. So, we've talked quite a bit about innovation, evolution, being there for the customer, putting the customer right at the center of all actions. And one of those is the ad platform itself. I'm sure you'll get a lot of feedback from your advertisers, irrespective of whether they're large or small, those that advertise on the marketplace, as well as those that are true 1P partners of yours. What mechanism exists to, get that feedback in from the advertisers? And then how do you all actually take that to heart, and how does it reflect back in the product evolution itself?
There's actually a lot of mechanisms that we have in place to be able to stay in touch with our advertising customers. At scale, whenever we give feedback, we give opportunities for all the brands who work with to provide it directly to us so they can actually submit feedback, and we review that weekly. We also, through our sales channels, we have voice of the customer, voice of sales, and they come in and say, these are the things, the pain points, these are the evolutions that we need to solve for. And again, that's a weekly behavior. To me, taking those insights and then saying, great, now we need to move that to one-on-one personal conversations where we can get in and say, here's the challenge, we agreed with this is what we're trying to solve for, understanding the multiple levels of why this is critical, and then building paths forward so we can streamline and hold ourselves accountable to, here are the milestones that we need to hit. An example of that, yesterday we were in a meeting with a shop, and we were talking about some of the challenges that they've been having working through some of our tech, right? And we're really excited about the capabilities, but there's some integration points that they need. So like, okay, great. Let's make a plan. Let's build out a timeline. This is what we're going to get here. This is why we're doing it. And let's set a date for August 1st to have this completed. So that real-time constant feedback, it matters, but what that really leads to is the sit-downs, the meaningful conversations to say, now here's how we're going to tackle it and solve for it.
When Shri and I have the opportunity to talk to industry thought leaders and ask them what are some of the challenges that are faced in the advertising industry, they often bring up things like multi-touch attribution or customer long-term value or other things. I want to hear from you. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing the advertising industry today? And how do you think Amazon Ads is positioned to address those?
If I had to distill it down, this is just my own personal opinion. Yeah. The biggest challenge that we have is moving people away from what they're used to.
That is a big, changing habits.
Changing habits.
Really hard.
I come in and I do that, and this is the tool that I use, and I understand. And I'll give you an example for me, a little unrelated. I have an iPhone.
Yep.
Love my iPhone. I decided 5 years ago to try a different phone. After 3 days of
heresy.
I know. Of not knowing where all the buttons were and all the prompts.
You won't get the blue bubble. You understand that. Right?
Yeah, but it's a better camera and it's better this. It's better that. It's like, but I just know how to use this.
Peter's got a Mac, I've got a PC. He's been trying to convince me.
Don't do it, Shri.
It hasn't worked out.
Stick with the PC.
It hasn't worked out.
But it is. So it's that changing human behavior. So we'll come in and we'll say, we've proven better performance. We've proven better results. But when somebody, your hands-on keywords is like, but I'm just used to doing it this way. That change, it's a lot of inertia that you need to say, like, let's keep it focused. So the solution to that is simplification.
Okay.
We talked about AI a little bit earlier and the language models that we've been developing. A lot of those changes, you could get better results if you know how to code, if you can do this. Well, now if you have a voice and you have an idea, you can get the outcome you need.
If can be real life.
If can be real, right? And that to me is, well, how do you get people there? It's that simplification process. I know the results are going to be stronger. I know the data is second to none, but now you need to make it easy for me.
How awesome. We wouldn't have expected anything less from Amazon, though. I'm going to wrap it up with this question, and it's a two-part question. From your perspective, Tanner, why should advertisers believe that Amazon is the best place for them to build their brands? Now, I'm going to caveat this and say, Shri's already there, and Shri's already been there. but we want our audience to hear straight from you. And the second part, which I'm going to ask you this again after you answer this first part, is what advice would you give to brands listening to this show on what is a best-in-class partnership? So let's do it in two parts. First one, what's the reason for them to believe that Amazon is the best place for them to build their brands?
Well, the good news is we're not asking you to have blind belief. The reason is because we can show you, right? You can actually see the results, the performance. That's why you should believe, right? This is one of those few instances we talk about belief where we say seeing is believing.
Yeah.
And that's where we have a lot of confidence and conviction on what we're doing is I don't need you to just take my word for it. I can show you the superior performance, better.
They're from Missouri, the Show Me State.
He's making me think about the Imagine Dragons song.
Yeah.
So show me is one of the best ways because then the brand gets to experience it.
Yeah.
And the brand gets to knows. But then what is your advice to those same brands on what is a best-in-class partnership so they can indeed build their brand? Because if you come in halfway in and you don't go all the way or you barely experience it, you're not going to be the most satisfied person and then you're going to complain. So what is your advice?
Specifically with working with Amazon ads, it's remove any constructs that you have of what's possible and be open to the fact that we're now playing a different game.
So bring the challenge at hand, try to solve it, and then look for the tools and the various capabilities within the ads platform. Whereas walking in with a preconceived notion that here's the way and that's the way we're going to do it.
Don't come in with the solution before you understand the challenges and the opportunities to solve them. Because again, right, there's this whole universe of ways through the Amazon canvas where we can engage with customers, right? Whether it's podcasting, whether it's Twitter, IMDb, through the Amazon DSP, Fire TV, the shows that we have, the live sports. If you come in and you say, well, I know exactly what I need to do, you're going to be missing a bigger opportunity. And there's other times where we can over-engineer things. And I'll give you an example of that. Marketers forever say, I've got the perfect targeting stream of exactly who I need to engage with because this is going to drive the most sales that I have. Back in the day when we were selling DVDs, a lot of DVDs, you know what the most important insight was? This person buys DVDs.
That is pretty big.
Right? And that would outperform all the best intentions. Is like, okay, so no, because you know what's, people say, well, this is the demo I'm going after. This is the individuals. Like, you know what you're going after? People that want to buy
DVDs. Can't get easier than that.
And you'd see that there was very little consistency on like the demo splits for that type of data. And that's the case with a lot of things. Yeah. So when you've made up your mind before you've gone into it, that's when you limit yourself.
Gotcha.
Now, Tanner, I'm tempted to ask you how long before IMDb starts to include podcasts in their.
Oh wait, and then I want to ask
we
a
need
follow-up
to give you guys
question.
some credits.
You said podcasting is one of those universes now where brands can build themselves. Do you know of any podcasters that might be helping build equity for brands or retailers?
I know two who are doing it right now extremely well.
Okay.
Is it the CPG guys?
You know, as long
we'll
as
take an intro.
Now that you've hit 500 episodes,
there we go.
Who can ignore this?
Should we start referring to ourselves in the third person, the CPG guys?
Yeah.
I think that kind of evokes you.
The Shri, the Peter.
The Peter, yeah.
The Peter.
The Peter and the Shri, the Papa Shri.
There we go.
Before we go, I'd be remiss. You mentioned at the beginning you'd had a couple of big announcements. You talked about the one at Roku. I think we saw as we woke up this morning another one that you'd maybe make mention of.
Continuing on the path of significant addressability, making things easier against the best content in the world. We also made an announcement in a partnership that we have with Disney, where we now have direct integration with Drax, which is their service into all of their premium content, utilizing the signals that we have, which, again, we could not be more excited about what this means for brands.
Yeah, I think this is huge in terms of the reach that Amazon can measure against.
Well, congratulations on both the announcements. Congratulations on being you as well as being Amazon, making it easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Tanner, thanks for taking time out of Cannes to spend time with our humble little podcast.
Not so little anymore.
Not so little.
The Peter.
Okay. But thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
And to be on the 500th episode, what a privilege and an honor for me to be here. So thank you guys both. This was fantastic.
All right.
Shri and I were incredibly honored to have Tanner join us for the monumental 500th episode. But more importantly, we want to thank you, our followers, who provide us feedback, who encourage us, who want to meet us when we're out in the wild at a trade conference or walking along a street. We always love people coming up and giving us the incredible gratitude that we've received for the work we do and our mission to help educate and entertain this industry about what's transpiring, the world of omnichannel digital. We are incredibly appreciative of the over 37,000 followers on LinkedIn who look to us for education and entertainment. And we look forward to the next 500 episodes here on the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.